Hello YouTubes. I wanted to share some of what I learned about hacking relics in Night Rain. And you can use this to cheat in online multiplayer, but I can't say I really support that because it's probably not healthy for the game or for the community. But I do think that relic editing is useful for learning more about the game. So I'll just show you how it works. First, we're gonna open the Night Rain folder. So go to Steam, Night Rain, right click, go to Properties, go to Installed Files, and then browse to the file location. And that will open your file explorer. And you'll see here a folder called Game. So we just need to make one edit to Night Rain's game files. And make sure you're starting Night Rain in offline mode. So either turn off your internet, turn off your Wi-Fi, or you can just start in offline mode. And then you're gonna need these three things, which I'll link in the description. You need this Nexus mod, which is really just a cheat engine table. And then you're going to need this other Nexus mod to disable the easy anti-cheat. And when you do this, you're gonna have to remember to not launch Night Rain from Steam. What this mod allows you to do is it allows you to launch from the executable directly from the folder, so it won't launch easy anti-cheat. Because if easy anti-cheat sees that you opened cheat engine, it's gonna crash Night Rain. So if that happens to you, then it's probably because you forgot this step to disable easy anti-cheat and launch from the executable. Don't launch it from Steam. So we're gonna take this Steam app ID, and really this is just a text file. We'll take that and put it in the game folder, the folder called game. We're just gonna paste that txt file, Steam app ID txt. And all that's in there is these 7 numbers, 2622380. So we've got that set up. Now we're going to launch Cheat Engine by double-clicking the Cheat Engine table that we downloaded. And then we'll open up our relic ID list, which we're gonna need. Now I can launch Night Rain. Make sure you don't launch it through Steam. Go to the game folder and double-click Night Rain eXeeD. Make sure you're in offline mode. You can start in offline mode by going to the settings, go to network, play offline, launch setting. Now let's get to the actual editing. Tab over to Cheat Engine, and you can either open Night Rain here, or you can just click Auto Attach to Process, and it'll do it automatically. And if everything is working so far, if you did everything correctly, clicking this box will make all of these options show up where you can just edit your relic. And it'll be whichever one you're currently selecting. So make sure you're clicking it. Like, say if I wanted to change all of these to initial standard attack, then I could do this. First, I'll click a relic with the effect that I want, and I'll just copy the first part, the ID here, and then I go to the relic I want to put it on. I'm gonna swap out this relic for a moment to something else I can edit. So let's look for a really crappy relic. This one is an Executor, HP Restoration on Claw Attacks, and Improved Dragon Communion. So not really a relic Executor would ever run. I can sacrifice this relic, so I'll just take that. My goal is to change all of these effects to initial standard attack. You're just gonna change the value field to the ID itself. It'll autofill the text if you did it correctly. Now I go back, and you won't immediately see a change, but if I deselect the relic and then go back, you'll see now they're all improved initial standard attack. So I pretty much have an optimal build here for each Nightfarer. And these are just my subjective sort of god tier relic setups. So Wilder, we got +1 additional character skill, improved attack power, 3+ great swords equipped, change compatible skill to Hoarfrost, art activation spreads fire, defeating enemies fills the art gauge, improved critical hits, the fiery follow-up, Everjail relic, and then art gauge fills on critical hit. And then Guardian has increased maximum HP, continuous HP recovery, slowly restore HP for allies when low, slowly restores nearby allies HP when art is active, flask heals allies, art gauge charged from guarding. Successful guards send out shockwaves. Max HP up with 3+ great shields equipped. Draw enemy attention while guarding. Then Iron Eye also has... I put this on a lot of my squishy Night Fares. They all have the Dark Knight of the Fathom. Because it just with the way I play, I feel like all the squishier backline characters really benefit from this increased maximum HP. And you'll notice I'm not cheating anything that would be impossible to roll. Like, I'm not putting increased maximum HP on a regular relic because you can't get it on a regular relic. So even though I'm cheating, it's like, within the realm of plausible deniability. So he has increased maximum HP, continuous HP recovery, slowly restore HP for self and nearby allies, +1 additional character skill use, improved attack power with 3+ bows equipped, HP restoration on bow attacks, extend duration of weak point, starting armament inflicts frost, stamina recovery upon landing attacks. Now, if this was a +1 stamina recovery on attack, that would be impossible to get on any relic except the Tricephalos relic. But maybe I didn't know that. Like, there's actually a lot of rules to how these generate. So there could be something in here where I'm not sure why it's an impossible setup, but it could be impossible because maybe 2 of these effects aren't really compatible on a random relic. If there's something where I actually made an impossible setup, feel free to let me know. But I tried to make them realistic while still being god tier setups. And then Duchess, we have defeating enemies while attack is active, ups attack power. This is supposedly a really strong effect. And stonesword key in possession, I like taking that on Duchess because I think she benefits from the extra time to do like 1 extra Everjail, and she doesn't have to go looking for that key. And Hoarfrost Stomp, that's just a preference of mine. Attack power for each Everjail prisoner. This is like mandatory on everybody. Improved carry and sword sorcery, that's also a preference. You could do Crystallian sorcery instead. And I'm playing her as a caster Duchess. I don't have a setup here for the melee Duchess with the Miasma relic, but you could do that. Just depends how you prefer to play her. I prefer playing her as a caster. And then this is sort of like a copy of that one relic you can get from the signboard, where it's max FP up with 3+ staves, max FP up for each sorcerer rise unlocked. And these are like really good effects. But then the third effect on that one was an okay effect. It was just the regular magic attack up. So I put a more useful effect here on this relic, which is defeating enemies fills more of the art gauge. And this goes really hand in hand with this first effect, defeating enemies. Well, art is up, it ups attack power. And then Raider, there's a lot of Raider setups that I would call god tier. You could almost go like anything you want on Raider. He's just good. So Revenant, another Knight of the Fathom, Dark Knight of the Fathom here, because she's really squishy. I think Revenant actually needs this one the most out of anybody. Like, the hacking didn't even do much for Revenant because I almost consider these 2 free relics to be like mandatory on her, because this has increased maximum HP, this has increased maximum FP, and Revenant wouldn't really run the 3+ staves one anyway, so she does better with this relic for FP. But then I also have a max FP up with 3+ sacred seals equipped. And I believe Revenant is the only Nightfarer where you can get sacred seals from dormant powers. Like, it's part of her special item pool. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she's the only class that can do that. So, like, even though Recluse has an S scaling in Faith, I feel like you wouldn't usually pick this effect on Recluse. It's more of like a Revenant thing, just because it's easier to find the sacred seals. And then we have the mandatory, like, attack power increased for each Everjail defeated. But you don't really need this effect. I mean, I think the power up while fighting alongside family is a much more mandatory, but she's kind of like a support character. So if you want to play her as a high support healer role, you could swap out this Revenant effect for the one that heals allies when you ultimate. You could swap it out for the Ghost Flame effect if you like that one. And then if you don't really need the Everjail. If you're playing her as a support, you could just swap this for more of a supporty effect, like healing allies when you draw Flask. And then Recluse, I usually would put the Knight of the Lord, the Knight Aspect relic on her, because I just like how the Knight Aspect allows me to proc any element for my E without any help from a party member. But this is like an alternate setup for Recluse that doesn't have the Knight Aspect. So once again, we have the Dark Knight of the Fathom here, just to help her with that little survivability. She's pretty squishy too. Actually, I think she's squishier than Revenant, but I don't know why she doesn't feel as squishy. Maybe because she has her 2 different cocktails that give her a shield in the auto parry. So we have increased maximum HP, continuous HP recovery, slowly restore HP of herself and nearby allies when low, collecting affinity residue activates Terra Magica, attack power increased for each Everjail. And then I have 2 Crystalline sorceries here because you'll notice Duchess, I prefer Carrion Sword sorcery because she gets higher DPS out of this than Recluse does. And even though Carrion Sword sorcery is also going to have the highest DPS potential on Recluse, or I mean, it's not as high as Duchess, but it's the best spell for both of them, the Carrion Slicer. I like going Crystalline Sorcery on Recluse. Shatter Crystal is so much more common. And then she has the max FP effects. Max FP 3+ staves, max FP when sorcerers rise unlocked. And she has the mandatory Everjail. Instead of Terra Magica, you could go for the one that makes her bleed when she ults. That's also pretty good. This is one of the quote meta / standard executor builds with the Knight of the Miasma, Conceals Self. You could also go a more bleed-centric build, but the one I have here is Frostbite Vicinity, Conceals Self, Starting Armament inflicts Frost, Improved Physical Damage Negation, Roaring heals you when Art is active, attack power increased for each Everjail, changes compatible armament skill to Seppuku. Seppuku is really good on Executor. Improved attack power with 3+ katana equipped, HP restoration on katana attacks, and attack power up when facing frostbite afflicted enemy. This shit is busted. So back to Raider, there's a lot of different setups that will work for Raider really well. But I was checking out the 9 improved initial standard attack, just stacking every slot with improved initial standard attack. Very busted. In this setup here, I just have the last relic doing other stuff. Let's make another build here. I'm going to look for 3 blue relics that I can sacrifice. Yeah, this one looked kind of crappy. And what I'm going to do is put stance breaking, just 9 stance breaking on everything. I want to keep some of my relics because I don't actually want to cheat online. I need a crappy blue relic. No, that one looks pretty good too. Come on. Oh, yeah, this is good. So we also have this list where we can find all the IDs, and we'll do Control F for stance breaking. And we'll look for stance breaking when 2-handing. And I'll select the first relic, paste, paste. So now you can actually see them changing here, but it won't always show up immediately. You have to deselect the relic sometimes. Okay, we have another set of God tier relics here. And actually, now I'm rethinking some of these, I kind of want to change something else. So now, very important to make sure all of your relics save properly, you need to quit the game properly, either by returning to title menu or clicking return to desktop. I couldn't decide which Raider setup I liked the best, so I made 8 of them. Some of them are more focused on improved initial standard attack. Some of them are more focused on stance breaking when 2-handing. Some of them are more focused on scaling crit damage. This one has the Dark Knight of the Baron, just because you can't find improved critical hits +1 on anything else. However, it's still better to have improved critical hits, like all three of them. These three together are better than just these two on the Dark Baron, and critical hits earns runes is kind of a negligible effect. What I'm going to do to test out the viability of these setups, I'm going to see which one performs best for clearing 7 Everjails in one run. I'll show you 2 of the runs that I did just to demonstrate how you can theory craft with this method. First, I'll show you a failed run, and then I'll show you a more successful run afterwards. Now, I'll admit, I'm underselling the crit build a bit here. Don't get me wrong, full crit has a lot of potential, but what I'm trying to show you here is that full crit has a hard time getting off the ground. I need a relic setup that will carry me. What's the point of hacking in god tier relics if I still have to get good? There's gotta be a better way. Well, dear viewer, look no further than the 6 initial standard attacks setup. 6 initial standard attacks. This relic setup is equivalent to a free win. One way to be sure that you'll launch a standard attack is by blocking first. You're gonna see me blocking with my weapon a lot. Mostly it's to prevent a chain attack or a running attack. First things first, you definitely always want to clear your starting camp. It's just too valuable to get to level 2 right away. And it takes basically no time. I actually forgot to level up here. But if you forget to level up like me, it's okay, because the first boss is usually not much of a problem. It probably helps to memorize every seed, just so you know, like, where the circle's gonna close in each day. I mean, it sounds like a monumentous task, but I guess it's really not that hard to memorize every seed. It's not as hard as it sounds, once you know that every expedition only has 40 seeds. I should mention that the 7 Everjails is by no means the easiest or the best way to clear an expedition. You should aim for 3 or 4 jails on the first day. If you're behind and you've only done 2 jails, it's not the end of the world, as long as you have some keys stocked up. Right now I have no keys. But I did see that there's a township merchant, so he sells a key at least. So right here at the end of day 1, this is where you have to decide if you're gonna dash to the center of the ring, or if you're gonna die outside the ring, which is totally fine, because if I die here, it might actually be better. I would get full flasks. I'm not a raider player, by the way. The point is that he's my worst, and I'm trying to learn more about him by theory crafting. Right now I'm a lot more concerned with finding keys for the jails than I am with fighting the prisoners. Fishing for a madness weapon, but it was a long shot. Alright, 3 more jails to go. First, gotta find the keys.
I think the one place that 100% will drop a key every time is the trailer park, like the starting camp. So keep an eye out for anywhere that a small camp can spawn, because you might see a trailer park there. Overall, there's 5 main places you should be looking for stone sword keys. You should be looking in the forts, in the mega churches, you should be looking out for the trailer parks, you should be looking out for the township merchant who always sells a stone sword key. And the 5th place is those random treasure chests that can spawn sort of around the map. That's why the relic effect that highlights local clues can be good, because they sometimes do have a stone sword key, but I felt like the drop rate on the randomly spawning chests wasn't high enough to justify taking that relic effect on my god tier relics. And then another thing to keep your eyes peeled for is the red Nightfarer corpses. That's the last ever jail. Deathrite bird? What Deathrite bird? I don't see a Deathrite bird. Lord, forgive me. I'm gonna do the sweaty thing. Oh, a Sacred Scorpion Charm. One-shotting the Deathrite bird before the Sacred Scorpion Charm. I'll have to even the playing field a bit, or Libra just doesn't stand a chance. And I know because I had this exact same weapon last run. If I use Sacred Order, I'll actually start two-shotting him. So for the sake of fairness, I just won't use it. So that's 6 improved initial standard attack. But don't sleep on the Evergel effect. Don't sleep on the 3+ colossal weapon effect either. It's also pretty huge.